XRP, XLM, XYO, XVM, all these are good ones. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet, always starting with Bitcoin. Looking at it breaking this downward trend line, got a little bit of support, and if we can close above this previous high, we can start seeing that retracement. So definitely pack your bags for all the coins that I'm going to be talking about. However, is it possible that we just see a pretty major retracement like we saw on the 5th, where it pushes up this level, immediate rejection? Yes, that is a possibility. We still could be pushing down towards the 200 EMA before ultimately there's so many buyers down here at 100,000. If it pushes that low, it is ultimately just coming right back up to 112 or 122, sorry. Moving real quick into Floki and Perpetual protocol. Floki, phenomenal looking. It's testing support, testing higher lows. The CM Guppy is about to be pushed over at the same time as the 200 EMA. If we have a downward trend line, roughly this is the downward trend. We are breaking that downward trend line. If you have not entered Floki, it is a meme coin, but it does move very quickly. We could easily see Floki push from here back to the previous high, which is around a 52% gain. If you have other money and other tokens that are in the red, you could be making 52% off a smaller portion of that money to put back into those coins while they are consolidating. Floki, highly recommended at the moment. Perpetual protocol, long consolidation period, but very, very nice. It's trying to keep that 200 EMA nice and close so it can rip right above it. It's most likely going to test it and then retrace, test it again, and whenever it holds stability, then we'll start seeing Perpetual protocol take off. Similar to what we were seeing back here, tested the 200 EMA, tested it again, and then took off. XDC, a newer one I've brought in, but I'm actually going to put money into this one at this moment, as we have the holding on the 618, the 200 EMA, very strong upward trend line. It's in relation to XRP. It's definitely a good one, and it is very cheap at 8 cents at the moment. Why not put $100 into it, see what happens, as all it really has to do is break this downward black trend line, and then it's off to the races for XDC, and it has not created that all-time high yet, besides this previous at 15 cents, which is nearly double money, but usually when we hit all-time highs, then the sky is the limit beyond that. If you're getting in at 8 cents, you don't really have much to worry about. The lowest it can go at the moment is 0.055 before potentially getting a bunch of buyers testing this downward trend line yet again. And that is quite a significant decrease. That'd be about 32%. But with Bitcoin retracing and kind of maxing out the max it can go to the downside, we won't expect XDC to be breaking that 618 area, even if Bitcoin pulls back. So now is a great entry for XDC. NEAR, similar. Cross over the 200 EMA and we're set to jet. Keep this one in mind, it'll move quick. We may get that push up to the 200 EMA with Bitcoin if it pushes up. That's 15%, but I'd rather wait out on the 15% and aim to hit from that 200 EMA up to get around a 60% increase in profit from NEAR protocol. XRP, dollar cost average, phenomenal coin, held within this downward trend, held on the 50 area mark. It had a lot of support, pushed right back up, just like I talked about in the video a day ago, if not 2 days ago, pushed right up to the downward trend line. If this taps and breaks, it is off to the races for XRP. However, there's important news coming here in October. Could we see this retrace off this downward trend line, consolidate for a while until it tests it yet again before breaking up to the upside in October? That's personally what I think. However, I could be wrong. We could see this break and this takeoff, and then more bullish news happen within that area. And what's happening within this area in October is a bunch of ETFs are being laid out, and it is going to push the price of XRP to the sky. But you can stake your XRP here in the near future, which actually brings me over to Flare. Flare is going to allow you to stake your XRP. And Flare made that major push up. Consolidation, came down, tested that downward trend line At the same time, the 200 EMA, the resistance is going to be here around 0.02 cents. But Flare makes these patterns. We've seen it in the past right before it makes a major pump. So we see we had this major pump up, came down, tested roughly the 200 EMA, pumped up, and then once it broke past that previous high and held, we had that major push up. Flare is at a very good buying opportunity. Roughly in this area is a little bit better, around the 2 cents to around 2.1 cents. However, 2.2 is not bad for an entry. If you are looking at entering Flare for a swing trade, it's definitely a very, very good bet. Bringing this one up as well is Tornado Cash. Has been the only coin in constant profits since Bitcoin started pulling back, up over nearly 80%. And the CM Guppy is on fire. This thing is not letting this thing go down. We may get a little bit of a retracement to that 50% line, but overall, I'm going to be putting more money into Tornado Cash. You can trade it on MEXC, reference in the description below. If you use that, you get 10 USDT free, which you can use to buy a Tornado Cash, pushing up to an all-time high of $456 from currently $13, but we had our entry in my trading channel at around $7.50. So no sweat on Tornado Cash. XLM, similar to XRP, downward wedge, pushed off that downward trend line as expected and had that push up towards this downward trend line. Most likely going to test this, may have a little rejection if XRP gets rejected, pushing it back down to the 618 and then getting that support off that 200 EMA and pushing up. However, if that does not happen, breaking this downward trend line, we could see that ultimate push to the 0.64 cent area. Beyond that, the sky is the limit as well. LCX at 1446 on Coinbase. You can trade this one. There's also a description reference link for your Coinbase as well. And we are holding support on that 200 EMA. It's still looking very healthy. I personally have not entered. I am looking at entering this if we can hold and close over that 200 EMA. Once that happens, this thing can take off very, very quickly as well. Toshi was actually looking very healthy, holding up on that upward trend line right here. Very strong support, 200 EMA. If we can get this to push up over that 200 EMA, ultimately over this downward trend line, we can start seeing some more bullish momentum right in this area around 0.0006, and the 618 is up here at 0.0015. Dropping a zero may not seem like much, but if you enter at that downward trend, that's 125% increase before its all-time high being all the way up here at 277. Meme coins rip and dip very quickly, so don't put all your money into one meme coin and hope to be a millionaire. None of this is financial advice. Hbar forming downward wedge similar to XLM and XRP. Stack your bags for XRP, XLM, and Hbar as they are going to be prime ones for this upcoming year, which actually brings me over to XVM, or Volt as they like to say. So we're going to go to Dex Screener. I'm just going to show you it because they don't have this in the markets yet, which is typically the coins that you want to be putting more money into because they are not well known. But BlackRock has this as one of their investments. And we clearly see, just looking at this chart, what do we see? Inverse head and shoulders. That's what's going on here. Inverse head and mother shoulders. Boom. When this starts filling out, we get up to that 5 cent area, all hell is going to break loose for XVM when BlackRock can finally start making ETFs and have XVM as one of their tokens. You can only buy XVM with Solana. I did a quick short on how to buy XVM, and you say it's a lot of movement. It's a whole process to get those coins. Some of the most money I've made is by doing these longer processes. Download Phantom Wallet. With Phantom Wallet on MEXC, if you have that platform, or Coinbase, you buy Solana, and then you transfer Solana to your Phantom Wallet. From Phantom Wallet, you find XVM searching in the bar, and then you can purchase XVM at the current market value price, and at least you have it in your bag. It's only 4 cents now. This thing could rip if BlackRock is investing in it. Which brings me to a lesser known coin, ZRX. Phenomenal. Enter this right now. Not financial advice in any way whatsoever. 28 cents, but ZRX has some major potential to start pushing upwards. 28 cents to $1.38. We're going to just do a quick view on what that could potentially be. 732% increase just buying at this entry point. And this entry point is testing above the 200 EMA, broke a downward trend line, similar formation to Tornado Cash. Everything is completely bullish for ZRX. Volume picking up, or actually volume decreasing, price increasing, trying to build higher highs. If we can get above this 29 cent area, ZRX is going to take off. Definitely enter now or very soon if you have not, but that's not financial advice. DIMO as well. Violent, trying to get over that 200 EMA. When it gets over that 200 EMA and holds, that is your entry point. Currently, we're building this wedge, and we just need to get out of this wedge to see some upward momentum. DIMO is definitely a good bet for its potential as well. 7 cents, previous all-time high. 83 cents. You can't lose on this one. Look at this volume. That's insane. This is the bottom for DIMO. So if you have not entered DIMO, I personally have not yet, but I will when I start pulling some profits, as this is the absolute low. This is a prime entry. This is what you are looking for when you are trading crypto. Polygon, push up over the 200 EMA, consolidation. As long as that holds, there is upward momentum for Polygon. Epic was another one I brought up, and I'm going to bring BNT into this one. Epic holding that upward trend line. Let's see, what was the other? Compound. QNT, I think I said I was going to do it and I skipped it on the other video. Compound, look at that. Entry for the past week saying buy. We are up a little bit, but not enough to convince anybody. We need to get over that 200 EMA and test this downward trend line. If you're really looking for a better entry opportunity, this area around $55 is where you're going to be looking to enter for Compound. QNT, strong support, very, very healthy. Touched that 200 EMA, got immediate support off of it. And all we can expect is some consolidation, breaking this downward trend line before ultimately pushing up to this previous high. Those of you who are holding QNT, myself included, when we get up to this previous high, you're going to be willing to sell. You're going to see some rapid movement downward, potentially testing this area. But if you're not willing to play that move, just hold once it gets over this previous high and expect some resistance around 170. We may get a little bit of retracement back down to 150 and then take off to the 210 mark. But currently at 100, this is where we originally were stacking bigger bags before selling off at 124 and then having our re-entry at 88, selling off at around 130 before now would be our entry at this 200 EMA. Very, very healthy. BNT, XYO, Jesus, this is a long video. Downward wedge, similar to XRP, XLM, all that good stuff. Had that immediate support. We need to test this downward trend line as well and push over that. But BNT, very, 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 very healthy. If you have not entered, this is still a very good entry point for you. XYO, sleeping giant, as always. Just when it shakes everybody out, I assume we may have a little bit more of a retrace to go to shake some more people out. But this upward trend line is very strong, and we are testing this 200 EMA, testing this downward trend. We could adjust this trend to be testing off this point right here, but this area is very tight, a lot of pressure pushing within this area, and once we get over this downward trend line and hold this upward trend line, XYO is going to be a beast for the future endeavors. And crypto DNT, I know you guys are looking at DNT as well. Similar to XYO, this thing is just pressurized to the maximum. It is just slapping this 200 EMA in the face over and over again. 200 EMA wants to push it lower and lower, and the pressure of this upward wedge is just pushing this up and up, and eventually the 200 EMA is going to have to give way. We're going to bust over that 300 or the 3 cent mark, and then the continuation is up to 4. Beyond 4, the next resistance is around 0.53 to 0.62. We could see a quick rejection to test these lower levels before ultimately taking off, but DNT is definitely a good bet. And lastly, GRT. Everything is looking very healthy with what Bitcoin is doing. We could see Bitcoin move upward, and everything else will take its course with it. Ultimately, 200 EMA and this 10 cent mark is what we need to get over for GRT to start looking more bullish. That's it for this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Reference links in the description below. Good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you guys on the next one.